Hawaiian legacy. Well, what ended up happening here was general chat basically wanted Hawaii, this little kid, to find his friend Psychic, found out Exceptional Legion was doing this event, and through very vague zone directions, they walked him through the fleet into the museum, and he just happened to end up at the correct location. And all of us in Exceptional Legion could watch this happen in zone chat. We're like, he'll never find this secret event. I mean, there's no way he's going to do it. Well, ends up being right next to this blue door that we have to open for somebody else. As soon as they paid, we open the door, they go in, they get the stuff. Hawaii just happened to stumble on through this. And so, meanwhile, I'm as Blade in a totally different area, hitting the doors whenever we need to. So I didn't see Hawaii. I wasn't the character that first made contact. But I'll never forget, over comms, somebody was like, guys, I don't know how to tell you this, but Hawaii is inside this thing right now. Everybody's like, there's no way Hawaii's going to make it into this top level thing. He's level 11, no advanced class. But we could see people walking him there through zone chat for over an hour, so it was believable. And he walked his way through, and then of course the door shuts right behind him. Now he's in the inner workings of this whole thing. So it was just crazy how Hawaii kept kind of showing up. But eventually, and meanwhile, people were continuously inviting to the guild. It was growing and growing. It got over 200, 300 members. And at one point, I was like, this would actually be kind of a useful guild to have for our alts and to meet more people and things like that. The only thing is, it's going to be tough to get it from Hawaii, And they were like, oh, we can definitely get it. I'm like, you know what? I'll give you guys 500,000 credits if you can get the guild back. That'd be pretty sweet. It's 300 member guild. Let's do it. So everybody knew who Hawaii was because he was fully established in the fleet with the guild. And time after time they try and fail because of course they're not going to get the guild. It's from me, and I'm the one asking them to get it for my money. So of course it didn't ever end up working that way. But now we have a buzz going on in Exceptional Legion where they really all right, let's get the guild back. So there's a lot of people always whispering Hawaii, trying to actually get the Massive Legion back in my hands. And after another week of this, finally, I'm like, okay, you know what, guys? I'll show you how it's done. I'll do this, no problem. So I was kind of flex moments, don't you worry, I'll take care of this. And so it was kind of a semi-guild event where I called Hawaii to the steps of Tython, the starting planet. Have a seat, little Hawaii. I'm sitting down next to him, and the guild's watching, and we're all on comms together, not Hawaii, of course. So meanwhile, I'm laughing with how stupid this is with my friends and everything, and also talking to Hawaii and then answering from Hawaii. So we're on the stairs. I'm like, young man, sometimes part of being a great leader is just knowing when there is a better leader for you to learn from. And he's like, well, I don't know. I mean, I really want to try to be a guild leader like my brother. I had him have a Call of Duty guild leading brother or some weird thing like that. And I was like, no, man, this is a major step in your development to realize, there's another leader, and this is when I enlightened Hawaii that I was actually the one that gave him the guild, not Psychic. And he's all starting to understand and pull the pieces back together. Oh jeez. And then basically what happens is I'm like, I've been to Hawaii. I like it a lot. So I'm now trying to get his trust. And this is all happening in a public dialogue, back and forth. Guild's on comms, guild's there. There's a bunch of people just watching, stuff like that. Everybody's been trying to get this guild for a while, so it's kind of a point of interest for everyone. And he's like, no way, you haven't been to Hawaii. Well, if you have, what is the name of, or what is the shape of the high schools there? Everybody in comms and zone chat's like, oh my god, Blade's caught. He's never going to be able to do this. Yeah, well, I took a helicopter tour over Hawaii. So interestingly enough, the middle schools and high schools are donut shaped. There's circles and there's a hole in them, so all the recesses are inside, which is kind of weird but kind of cool. So I'm like, your schools are circular, and they have an inner area for recreation and recess. He's like, okay, I guess I can believe you, Blade, but you really think I should give up the guild? And people are like, oh my god, he's gonna get it! They're freaking out, right? It's just incredible. I'm laughing a moderate amount on comms because I'm laughing with them, but I'm also just cracking up myself because this is so funny. This is what I'm talking about. This is the stuff I do on my own, right? Just for the heck of it. This is why streaming is great, because it's all my crazy, wacky inner consciousness coming out for everybody's entertainment at this point. Oh man. So ultimately, I convince him that in order to be a better leader, he needs to kind of submit, find a good leader and stuff like that. And he gives me the guild. So now I have ownership of the Massive Legion on an alt, and all of Exceptional Legion are both proud of me as their leader for doing this, which I kind of feel bad about, because that is definitely a weird manipulation just on the strangest possible level to earn respect as a leader doing this. So I didn't really like that part. The important thing was they all wanted us to have the Massive Legion, they all wanted it to grow, and they all saw it as their own personal pet guild. That was the mission behind all this, and it worked phenomenally. So now we owned it again. Everybody put their alts in it. So we had every single person in Exceptional Legion, literally without fail, even the most, like, I mean, they weren't really antisocial people, but like the most serious of serious gamers were like, I've come from the background of every world history first, and here's my resume and everything. They made alts in this thing. Everybody was on board. So now everybody's recruiting all the time. Now I still had a problem. The problem was I couldn't just continuously be Hawaii and be Blade. Like the mission was accomplished. So I needed to off Hawaii in some particular fashion. The way I did it, man. The way I did it was I had Hawaii get annoyed at Blade again, visibly, and not just me, but really become an annoying person, right? People would log in and he would be like, why didn't you say hello to me? I was the old owner of the guild, you should say hello to me. Like, just random stuff like that. And it really started to like annoy people, to the point where after a few weeks, people would be like, you know, Hawaii is not that much of an exceptional person. I don't really like this guy that much. I don't know if he should, do you really like him in this guild? I'm like, yeah, you know, he's a little kid, come on, you know, let him stay, it's fine, no big deal. But he just kept going, and now his grammar's starting to get even worse. He's like really looking like a kid. You gotta look at the screenshots, you can see this type of stuff that he posted. You know, anytime somebody was near him, he's like, oh, hi, wow, hello, yes, I am, yes, hello, where can I get pants? Like, he's still looking for pants. Like, this is months into the game now, come on. Find some pants, dude. You know, there were war zones in this game, and he always wanted to know how to zone into war. He asked if his companion could go to PvP with him. He doesn't even know what PvP is. So he asked if Kaizen, his little companion, goes to war with him. Like, just stupid stuff. And I made him overtly annoying to pretty much everybody. And, you know, meanwhile, I didn't even mention this earlier, but people, before I ended up reclaiming the Massive Legion, people, you know, the guild was 200 members. They're like, why is our guild leader level 11 and no advanced class? Why is the level 11 leading a 200 member guild? Is that an alt? Like, why doesn't he play very often? So people were all on board with me taking leadership of the guild. It was crazy. Oh yeah. But anyway, Hawaii gets really annoying, and eventually he gets on so many people's nerves. I'm like, you know what? Okay, I guess we're just gonna have to. I mean, I'm gonna kick him. You know, I guess, you know, it's just too much. So I ended up kicking him after I got plenty of requests by everybody else. So that's again how Blade Boques has a diplomatic immunity on all this stuff, and is completely, absolutely something nobody would ever expect. You know. So that was the craziest, cool part about this. By the way, my mom is an investigative journalist, so growing up as a kid, like, I had to really think creatively to get away with anything if I did at all. So probably this comes from that too. It was nuts. So I kicked Hawaii from the guild, but I didn't want him to just disappear after this, because that's just too obvious, it's too strange. People already suspected that maybe Arculus was Hawaii, because Arculus had 1,000 screenshots of him, and like was tormenting him nonstop and would bring him up daily. Man, oh man, it was funny. God, I love this story. So anyway, what I did then was have Hawaii start posting in Zone. He was like, I used to be a guild leader, but then I was kicked and all this stuff, and he got recruited to another guild. As soon as he got recruited to a guild, he did what everybody hates in real life, which is just like paragraph block text, like boom, complain, boom, complain, boom, boom, boom. And that's all he did. He didn't read anything else that was said. He was just complaining about this, ranting on like a little child grammar type of story, all one sentence, you know, just ridiculous. And he did that until he got kicked out of the guild. Okay, and I did this over a few days, from one guild to another guild to another guild. So now, the overall reputation of Hawaii is he bounces between guilds, he's a little kid, he's annoying, he's a troll, and he's getting kicked out of guilds and nobody likes him. Only after he bounced in and out of like over 5 guilds, that's when it was time for Hawaii to make a full-on disappearance. Because it wasn't like, oh, Blade kicks him and he's no longer a person. That's a little strange. No. Now after he has a reputation and nobody likes him, he disappears. And that was the thing that made this all really perfect. Nobody ever knew what happened to Hawaii. Nobody knew. Except for one person in the entire world. Now, I never told this person, but this person is a very intelligent individual and somehow just absorbs facts through osmosis. I don't know. He's pretty intense. This person is Bowtie Jones. Bowtie Jones!
Bowtie Jones?
Bowtie Jones. All right. So Bowtie Jones, in real life friend of mine, known him for 4 years, great guy. I wanted him to start playing Star Wars. So what I did was I was like, here, play my account. I'm going to go off. I think I went clubbing or something. I don't know. And then when I came back, he was like leveling up a gunslinger. Well, on that alt account that I gave him was Hawaii. Okay? He didn't know about the guild, or he didn't join the guild. He knew I raided all the time and had ops. But as soon as I logged into comms one night, Arculus, of course, he's like, something, 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 Hawaii, or whatever. And Bowtie Jones is like, Hawaii, isn't that your... I'm like, shh, shh, no, no, no. And so he's like, okay. Now I have push to talk, so I can totally save this. And like he didn't ever hear it. But Bowtie Jones basically like watched me like a hawk that whole raid, right? And of course, not zone chat, but the comms, the swapping Hawaii stories. At the end of the raid, he was like, I know it's 3 a.m., but you were gonna tell me everything. You're gonna tell me everything, because he knew something was up. This dude's smart. All right, so I sit down, I tell him the whole thing. Now this is 3 years ago, 2-3 years ago, while I was doing it, so it was even more detailed than right now. And it was like a 2-hour like monologue of this is what has been going on. And of course, every sentence just had him barrel laughing more than before. And we had like such a crazy night, staying up pretty much all night, just going over what was happening. He loved it. I was like, dude, I don't think I can think of a time when I told somebody I had a very, very important secret and it stayed a secret. I'm like, this has to be. In fact, if you didn't notice this, I would have taken it to my grave. I'm like, I would never have told anybody. This was for my own entertainment and my own sense of mission, basically. And he's like, you can trust me. I was like, all right, man. Sounds good. And he kept the secret the whole time. For 2 years, Bowtie Jones kept the secret, and he wasn't ever the one that let it out. For 2 years. This guy is a great, great friend of mine. Love him. And by the way, anytime we see Bowtie Jones in game anywhere, everybody yells his name. So that's what we were doing before. And if ever you hear Bowtie Jones on this stream, go ahead and just spam all caps, Bowtie Jones! In fact, if you want to go to exceptionallegion.com and spam that now, I think there's already a train of Bowtie Jones with at least 2 or 3 posts in there. So right on the side activity wall. It's just what we do. This guy's amazing. So anyway, here's the whole story, Keeps the secret. So back in the chronology of events here, I have Massive Legion back. Hawaii now disappeared. Nobody knew what was going on. Hawaii was always an incredible story, and what I did was I wrote a history of the Massive Legion, which is what Boques just said he was laughing about earlier. There we go, chat. That's right. That's what this stream is about. You got it. So Boques read the version of the Massive Legion history that I'm telling you not telling you right now, but the one that they knew, right? They knew Hawaii was a person, they knew how Massive Legion was built, stuff like that. And so all the people in Massive Legion would, all the people in Massive Legion would basically go to our website if they wanted to get in the guild, they would read the history, and so they would know about Hawaii. So it was always perpetuated. People that joined a year later read the stories, loved the stories, bonded with us over the Hawaiian stories. Until everything was going great, everything was great. There's a Bowtie Jones whisper right there. That's awesome. Until I met a group of my Exceptional Legion friends in person. Okay, I went down to, I think it was Otakon, right? One of my friends, Sybil, was coming down from Massachusetts. Another one, Cyrus, was coming down from Pennsylvania. And they were actually meeting up in Washington, D.C. because another one, Pork Chops, was flying from San Francisco to meet Cyrus down in D.C. with somebody who was in the Massive Legion, right? And this meeting here that I'm talking about now happened a month ago. Okay, so this is 2 years after the Massive Legion and EL and all that stuff started.